Bonjour mes enfants, it's Uncle Dan the Vinyl Man back with another episode of Uncle Dan's Vintage Vinyl. Haven't put up one of my own for a while, done a couple of live streams, but I've been busy with work. I apologize for that. I try to avoid work as much as I can. About 10 days ago I was down in the Twin Cities. I'd gone out on a big spending trip. I ended up buying a couple of turntables and then went to Half Price Books in West St. Paul and bought some albums. And among them was, I found in their clearance bin, buck each, an album that I just had to have. Music to Watch Girls By, played by the Girlwatchers. This is an album from 1967 put out by Design Records, which appears to be a label of Pickwick Records, which put out a lot of lower end stuff. Not exactly known for the highest quality stuff was Pickwick Records. It will perhaps not surprise you to learn that this is the only album by the Girlwatchers. There, I got it. Only album by the Girlwatchers, and there are two versions of it. One appears to be a U.S. release. This one, another one with a slightly different cover. It doesn't show these three guys. It just shows this guy leering at the same young woman. So slightly different cover. There's one of those, if you want to find a copy of this, there's one of them for sale on Amazon with that alternate cover for $200. Well, $199.98 or 9 cents. So just under $200. Given that you can pick up copies for no more than $25 on Discogs, I'm not sure why you'd pay $200, but if you want to, you're welcome to do that. And I'm not sure why anyone would really want to buy it anyway, although I bought it. It was worth, at least half of what I paid for it. I bought it. I was sure when I saw it, I was like, the Girlwatchers, I thought, yeah, this is not a real band. And I pretty much confirmed that. I looked the listing on, there's no listing of anybody on here. The back just talks about other stuff. Design has created a series of family favorites covering everything from When the Saints Go Marching In to the Beethoven Fifth Symphony. So it's just about other albums from Design Records, that Pickwick label or subsidiary or whatever. So anyway, I was pretty sure that it was just a pickup band or pickup bands. And I expected it to be fully terrible. I did a video some time ago about a band called the Copycats, where the people they weren't phoning in their performances. They were mailing them in, COD, collect on delivery, right? Mailing them in with postage due on mailing. They were so tired, so sad. So I put this on fully expecting it to be that. And some of it is, but some of the songs, there is a saxophone player, tenor sax, I believe. Could be alto, but I think it's a tenor sax player, who just decides to rip. And I guess, he's thinking maybe, heck, why not? I'm being paid nothing, but I'm just going to go crazy. And it's a little bit like Lisa Simpson, in the intros, or maybe they're the outros to The Simpsons. I haven't watched The Simpsons in ages. Where she's, they're playing a classical piece and then she riffs on some jazz. It's a little bit like that, but this guy's just ripping. A lot of the stuff is Music to Watch Girls By was a popular song by Bob Crew, I think, back in the '60s. So they're ripping that off. And then the other songs on here have titles, and I don't think any of them was anything except kind of a bar song or something like that, just sort of a blues jazz riff. The other songs are Transparent Dresses, Fishnet Stockings, Pretty Petty Pants, Nude Lipstick, Tight Tights, Funny Fun Coat, Tiny Mini Skirt, Paper Clothing, and Green Eyeliner. So I think these were just, hey, here's a set of chords, play something over it. And some of the stuff is kind of almost recognizable, but I'm not sure, I can't figure it out. Anyway, the funny thing is that there are a few cuts on here where the sax player is ripping it up, and it's kind of worthwhile for that. Let me add, I want to talk about the cover a little bit more, but let me add too that there's one funny thing about this album. Speaking of ripping it up or cutting it up, you're not going to be able to see on here. I'm just not going to be able to get it close enough. But it's just not going to focus here. Let me get myself out. No, it's still focusing on me. Oh, there. Maybe you can see at the edge of the album is like corduroy. You can hear it. You're rubbing my fingernail across there. You don't want your stylus to drag across that, especially if you've got like your nice moving quill cartridge with a beryllium cantilever, let's say, or a boron, or sapphire cantilever. You don't want it rubbing across there. What really interested me about it, though, was when I saw it, I thought immediately of the phrase "the male gaze," phrase that is originally from art, but picked up art criticism, but then picked up by movie critics and feminist scholars in general. And there are a lot has been written about the male gaze and what it means, but certainly it is the men looking at women, and that being the eroticism of it, the eroticization of it, an erotic sort of capture by the men that men control, gain power over, and constrain women through the male gaze. This seemed to me to be, just an absolute example of the male gaze. There are four men here looking, no doubt, lustfully, pruriently at the young woman. Then there are a couple other things about the young woman. If we look at her, she is very young, and she is holding a lollipop. I'm not quite sure how old she's supposed to be, but she looks to me like she's about 14 or 15. I may be wrong about that. She could be older, but she looks very young. So there is also, in addition to the male gaze here, there is something that's pedophilia, or I could one of those guys maybe will come along and say, well, technically under Uncle Dan, that's not pedophilia, it's ephebophilia. Sure, whatever. Anyway, they're looking at a woman, a young woman who has been infantilized, a young woman who is being marked as being underage with her lollipop. The fact that she's very slim, very childish sort of figure on her, and so there's a bit of pedophilia, ephebophilia, if you must, there. In addition, with the men who are constraining her, who are and there's a sense of I don't know. There's almost a sense of threat there. They're leaning toward her, and it looks like prelude de l'après-midi de gang rape. It brought to mind this other album that I got some time ago. I've had this. I don't know. Got it with a batch of cheesecake albums. I was buying those. Yeah, Uncle Dan will buy cheesecake. There's no doubt about it. This is the Kirby Stone Touch. The Kirby Stone Touch was for four young men who started out, I guess, as musicians and instrumentalists, but became a vocal group. They have tight harmonies and really boring stuff. This is a really boring album. it's not as good as, frankly, not as good as this album. I really cannot recommend this album at all. And if you like it, yeah, God help you. Anyway, the cover shows a Rolleiflex roll film camera, beautiful looking Rolleiflex there, and shows the viewing screen on it with what appear to be, a man's hands there capturing the, about to take a photograph of the partly nude young woman shown there in it. This is again the male gaze. I mean, it's pretty clearly a man's hands. You can see by the thumb that's marked as male, and the male is this male gaze is male. I went too long, so I've heard that before. Anyway, this is the clearly male photographer looking down at and capturing the female, so that there is a male gaze. It's also controlled by the camera, and so this is an image of, this is very literal to male gaze, and also this one is interesting because the person looking at the image is in the position of the photographer, and so you are looking at it, not only looking at the whole image, but you are this is you looking there and taking this image in essence. And so it puts the viewer in the position of that photographer and makes it very much the male gaze. You are participating in it. Again, this, and I've forgotten. I looked up when this was from. This was mono for whatever it's worth, and it's really not worth anything. This is really, I think, really boring stuff. Not very good at all. So anyway, I'm going to do some more on the male gaze. I have some other albums. I actually picked up another one by Martin Denny, Exotica, and I want to talk about it, but this has gone on for more than 10 minutes, and I know your attention spans can't last that long. Anyway, this is Uncle Dan the Vinyl Man, wishing he was always mes enfants. Au revoir et aussi. À bientôt.